Hello everyone, welcome back to Gelvin Valley. We are harvesting and we're right at the end of the row here, so let me carefully turn my combine around. It is getting a little towards dusk here in Gelvin Valley. Oh, and by the way, created of course by Wild Wes. Maybe one thing I can comment on before we take this next swath is I did a bunch of work off cam, I guess you could say, and the work I did was on the edges. I think if you look really close, there's I don't know how you tell. Anyway, you'll just have to take my word for it. I did a bunch of work trying to fix along the field edges, and I went all over the map. I went to all arable fields. Well, I say all, primarily the ones that I created in here, like this one here that we're harvesting, was one that we created. You know, where we had to carefully plow it to turn it into an arable field. You know, it was sort of like this one over here previously. It was just grass. And so we had to do that in here. And as I was explaining, I think in a previous episode, got far too close to the edge. And so everywhere, including like along this edge here, I just did a bunch of tidying up. And I gotta say, it's some tedium to do it. You know, there are fun areas of modding, and then there are tedious areas. I would say this is an area of tedium, you know, where you're trying to fix these little tiny bits around the edge of the field. And yeah, it's fun, for example, to create a field in a map. You know, if you're doing mapping modding, it is not fun, in my humble opinion, to come in and try to fix, you know, what you had done. And maybe sometime I could show how I did it. You know, I would have loved to have done it in game, where I think what I talked about was taking a small planter around the edge, replanting it to grass, but that has its own limitations. It may end up taking more of a swath, you know, than I wanted it to have. So what I really need to do is be a little less greedy when I set the field up in the first place, and just not drive so close to the edge. You know, I mainly wanted to get it out of areas, you know, where it was climbing a little hill. You know, a lot of times there's bumps in the ground, you know, that it's hard to see. I play third person view, and it's often hard to see those little areas until you get up close and personal. And in the map editor, when you're staring in amongst all these weeds and everything, it's kind of hard to tell. Anyway, I probably shouldn't belly ache. So the way I did it is I went to the save game file for this, and you got to be really careful how you do this. I went into the map file, and I brought, it's a couple of what we would call girly files, not girls as in feminine, but girly, Grle, that's the file extension. And I did it for two specific files, for the cultivator girly file, and the cultivator is the one that's going to show the ground textures, the planted texture, plow texture, cultivator, and so on. And then the other one that I had was, I believe it was called fruit density or something like that, and the fruit density girly file, just two of them, took it out of the save game file, and I overwrote the ones in the map file. You got to know where to put them. Of course, I made copies of the originals first, so that the map, would remain exactly as it was if we ever started it up again. Because if you don't, overriding it, for example, I went in and this field was partially harvested, just like we see here, and every other field up here was harvested as they were, and that's exactly how I wanted to see it in the editor, because then I could use the tools of the editor to come around and fix the fence. And of course, the reason I did that was for ease of using the editor and doing that. But the other thing is, I think there is a way the Giants have made where you can open a curly file, but I think you have to have a special utility. And if you open it, all it's going to give you is, I think it's an image file, maybe a .png. I don't remember exactly what it gives you. Oops. And all I really wanted to do was fix the edges, so I just put it in the editor. That's how I did it. Now, if you do turn it into an image file, okay, so you can open it in an image editor, but you're not going to really be able to do much in it. I mean, I suppose if you really knew where the field edges were, you could take a few pixels off, but I wanted to do it in the editor so I could see what I was doing. I don't know if anybody's ever seen one of those density files, but all of the data that we see, the foliage here versus foliage here, it's all recorded in what they call a density file, and it's just a glorified image file, if you will, that has varying, I think the color they use is red, different shades of red using the RGB color stream, red, blue, green. So varying shades of red, if you will, is how they record all that data. So you could open one of those, like I say, in a picture editor, and you would see loads of red all over. And oh yeah, you could tell the shape of the fields, but you really couldn't do much substantively with it. So, because you couldn't see where you're going. So anyway, it literally took me a week of doing it evenings. I've been working long hours here late. I should get my unloading auger out. And like I say, it was just very tedious on some of them, particularly. Oh, can I get the rest of this? Maybe it'll just let me snarf the last little bit. Maybe because I'm not in the fruit, I'll go get my trailer here. What am I, 60%? Come over. Fill her up. There we go. And we are almost done harvesting, folks. Oops. Yeah, okay, I turned it off. What I didn't do was set the brake. Always a helpful thing to do. Alright, let me head down the hill here. Try to get it around. So, I still haven't heard from Wes as to, the way I'm farming it in here. I don't know if the region he intended to portray should be, by all rights, more livestock, or I just don't know. But all I basically know how to do is a little bit of the arable farming that I have in here, so that's what I'm doing. But we are almost done with our harvest, and anymore, the harvest is massive. We have a lot of fields to cover, and this has been going for many, many episodes. And I don't know how some of you could stomach watching it. There's not much that happens in here, except me just sitting here babbling on the latest thing I've done on the map. I don't know. Maybe everybody else that plays this game has got a little crazy and I'm just like me. But, even with the tedium of what I just described, I'm still glad that I did it, um, and other things discovered along the way. We just had the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S., and I made a mod, and I don't know how long it'll be before I can use it in here, to make a donation to the church up there as a way to help get rid of money. Well, in the game I've been playing in here, I need all the money I can get and then some just to survive. So that isn't something that I'll be using here in the near future. But as I kind of overlook the river down there, and I got a number of things going on. I feel like I'm right on the cusp of being able to make a comfortable amount of money in here. All appearances notwithstanding heretofore. With my still negative cash balance up there. And I think it's mainly negative on account of, renting such an expensive harvester, doing all these fields with it, and actually renting the truck over there, but it's so handy. Versus a little trailer I was using with a tractor, it all makes ultimately a difference. But there's some other things coming that I think are really going to help. I really need to go harvest those apples again up there and get the act going. I know that adds just a little bit of supplemental income. Thing of it is, it would have a lot more if I could dedicate more time to it. Don't end up in the ditch. But, when you're harvesting, I don't have time to just zip over there. I haven't taken time to do it, because it's literally hours to get through the whole harvest that we've done in here. I've been harvesting canola for a long time in here, and just think of it, if I was harvesting barley and then had bales to windrows to gather and bales to make and pick up, so this at least is a little easier than that. But I got the sheep over there, 600 of them or 700, whatever it is. And the last time I was up there, they had made a goodly number of pallets of wool. And I know I'm not going to make a fortune taking those up there to sell them and whatever, but I will make something. And it's relatively quick that they were able to share the wool that they had. So actually I probably need to go up there and make sure it's not jamming. There's a pallet accumulator up there, which is really a handy mod, a mod created by Marhu to collect all those pallets. Very handy. So I'm going to have those to sell, trailer load, truckload or two. Not sure yet how I'll haul those to market. But even more than that, I mentioned the apples, I need to keep them going, but I also have the timber. And I should have been planting more timber because it takes so long, for it to grow. And I really, one decision I made in playing this map, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, is I'm reluctant to really take out any of the trees. There's trees in abundance, they're all over the place, but when you take out a tree, and they're unique trees, he colored them a certain way and they blend with the map really, really nice. So I don't want to just remove them. I could take them out, plant another one, but they just don't look the same. The green isn't as lush and dark, and so I kind of want to leave the trees alone in the map. Otherwise, I would have been cutting down on a lot of them. If you, all of us know, even Russell, who doesn't appreciate or doesn't do logging all that much, it is a way to make some money. And I know in this older version, you didn't have to own the underlying land. You could just go get whatever trees you wanted. So, but I chose to plant a bunch of trees. I planted them in two areas. See, we're combining over here. So I have an area here by the mill, and I believe I planted it some way over here too, kind of on a open placeable area. I should have, like I say, planted way more. It's been hard to be patient, but I wanted to let them grow up, get as maximum size as they could, so so I could be as efficient as possible, whatever that means. But I really need to go check their growth to see if they are close to being harvestable. And they've got to be getting close. You can kind of tell visually about, when the trees reach their max size, and they've got to be, like I say, close. So, hi George, you know what? I'm looking at the time here, and I might be able to finish this up. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to finish the field or not, and I got another 98%. I'm going to set the brakes and, oops, went the wrong way. Go get my truck again here. And looks like I'll be able to fit everything in the truck too. That remains in the field, so... and then there's a question too, with all these other things, and of course the trees I'm talking about are just on the other side of this slope, kind of down over the hill, if you will. Or wait a minute, no, I'm sorry, I'm pointed the wrong. No, I pointed the right way. Yeah, somewhere down over here. But then it's kind of a matter of, what do I do next? And that's honestly one of the things I just love, about this game, is there's more things to do than you can literally do. We multitask the best we can, use Courseplay to help us. Of course, I have found this map, the way it's designed, to be pretty much inhospitable to Courseplay. It maybe it can haul distances for you or haul things to mark it out on the roads, but the ditches are deep. There is hard objects in abundance everywhere, and so it hasn't worked the best for just turning things loose on Courseplay. I just recorded a video not that long ago on a Farm Sim 11 version of the game. That one is a 4X map, that particular save that I have, and it's just big, and there's no trees. Oh, there's a couple trees, but you can drive through them. So the modder deliberately set it up so there wasn't hard objects to run into, so it makes it, friendly to Courseplay. And where that's really helpful is it allows the player to leverage themselves. If they don't want to babysit a combine like we've been doing for episode after episode, well, then they can leave the combine harvesting, put it on hire, and have Courseplay take care of the dirty work in hauling the crop away and paying attention to when the combine needs to be offloaded. But unfortunately, that Wes made such a good map that we can't really do that in here. And you know what? That's perfectly all right. All I'm saying is it makes it then a little tough to figure out how to allocate your time. I do have a mod in here that makes the grain and all the fruits grow a little faster than normal. Well, actually, let me see here. Yeah, I am on fast plant growth, so I know that when I plant or replant the crop in the fall, it's going to grow almost immediately. Basically by the next day, it just comes pretty quick. So that means harvest is, pretty much, as they would say, rinse and repeat. So, but, so my nature would be, of course, plant the next year's crop, and then you could take a break while the crop is growing and do something else, kind of like harvest your apples, haul the wool to market, maybe do a little logging. And in here, with the number of fields that we have and the size of machinery, that's efficient to do these, it's kind of hard to do that. You know what? I'm not even going to need to fill this combine up again because we're almost done. Happy, happy day. Maybe should have taken... You know what it is? I took 2 full rounds coming around the edge. I think what some of it is I got rid of some of the edges by... Oh, what are you doing, Combine? Oh, terrible driver. I took out some of the crop. There we go. So I don't have 2 rounds exactly. I maybe have 1.5 in some places. All right. This is fantastic, as my friend Fury Machine Gaming would say. It's kind of funny. You are the people that you associate with, and I don't know, I found sometimes I had to opt the phrases I hear some of my friends use when they make their videos. So, meaning to copy you, Fury. Folks, we are done. I'm pretty sure anyhow. Let me just make sure by taking a look at the map. Yep. There's all the fields, and we got a good chunk of the map anymore. What would you say? Is that maybe a third? We maybe have about a third of the area. Not quite. I don't know. Anyway, what we can tell from here is it's all harvested. We are done. So we'll unload one last time. Let me turn off GPS. Get our crop in the trailer. Try to not to spill any. And this is really timely, actually. It is military time, 8:15 in the evening, so it is headed towards nightfall, so I'll have to give a little thought and see what I do. There's a part of me that maybe wants to put some fertilizer on the fields and work it in. Last time, I kind of think we maybe no-tilled most of the farm. This time, I better give it some tillage. I think this is the way out. Let me put on my beacons for good measure. And I need to take this back to the dealership, get her all turned in. Hopefully, I can get out. Oh, my, that's bouncy. Hopefully, I can get it out the door. There we go. Yeah, that's one little bit of modding I know I had to do here. I think I mentioned it before, but there's a narrow, there's a little ditch, well, deep ditch, and it had a too narrow of, man, this is really giving the hillside a workout, too narrow of a bridge to come over it. So I added a couple boards to it. And now I think I just barely fit. Oh, well, looks like I need to add a couple more, or maybe space them out a little bit. Don't want to head to the right. I'll be headed up radio tower hill, so we'll come right on down here, and I don't really have anything with which to give this a bath, so they're gonna charge me, of course. That's all right. But at least I don't have to fill it with fuel. It looks like I had it rented for an hour longer than I needed, but it could be worse, okay? It's best to disconnect. There we go. Off we go. So long, Combine. Return. Do it again. Oh, does it not? No, there's another. Maybe I had to come back into the trigger. No, wait a minute. Wait. Did it take the whole thing? Huh. Well, that's interesting. Let me see. Is it still my garage? Nope. Alright, well, I don't know how I managed to turn both of them back at the same time. But, I did. Alright, and now you, my friend, have a trip to get over to our storage. We have just 28 minutes left on the contract here. I'm trying to remember if I got a whole truckload off this field or if I only got the 48,000 liters that I have. But, oh, and speaking of that, how much do I have in storage? Canola. 543,000, and I got another 400, almost 600,000 liters of canola. Not a bad harvest, I don't think. And we still, of course, have, let's see, was it wheat? Nope, barley. We are still waiting for the barley price to recover. Canola is kind of sitting there going sideways. And once again, I want to be as strategic as I can when I sell it, and ditto with the barley, because I know as soon as I sell it, the price is going in the toilet and it ain't coming back for a long time. So here we'll sneak right by the dealership here. We don't want to turn this one in yet. We have 27 minutes to complete getting it into storage. And I don't know which sell point I'm going to be using to, stay on the road. So maybe the pheasant pluckers or whatever that place is. Oh. And while I'm down here, well, you know what? Let me just come sneak right into here. So we'll get off the road. I'm going to set the brake, leave it running. I'm going to come over here to see, did I plant a tree? I probably did. Now, here I'm going to try a mod. Oh, and of course I can't see my help. So now I should see it. I thought I had a mod, so conduct survey. That's what it is. So I gotta hit M. Alright, it's telling me this is a pine tree. Oop, let me do that again. Length 25 meters. Size. Volume. Growth state unknown. I kind of wanted, this one is telling me growth state 4, this bad boy. You know, I wonder if the one over here that I looked at Was it one that was already there, I wonder? Let me see here. And growth state 4. All right. Yeah, I think what this is telling me is these are ready to harvest. Because you want them in growth state 4. Oh, you're on 2 at once. So, cool. Okay, well, that's good to know. So maybe, like I say, I gotta figure out what I want to do. Harvest is definitely over. So I may try to fertilize. I don't know if I should do some fall tillage. Time I need to advance. I think in daylight I'll do some fall tillage and all that and replant. And I don't know. It's a lot of work to do all that. So it may take a full day to do all the cultivating. Don't know. And then the planting too. I see we're going by all these fields where we have things to do in there, so plenty to do. S, if you ever come by here, I'm still loving your map, man. This is a wonderful place to farm, and I've been working on this series now a couple of years, and loving the map as much as actually more than I even liked it in the beginning. Oops, not the right side, gotta stay on the left. So anyway, whatever you're doing today, hope you're doing great. Thank you for stopping by to come on Gelvin Valley Harvest with me. Finally, harvest is done, so we'll move on to something else, maybe even a little bit of logging. That'll make Russell happy. So y'all take care. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.